Yo, Grand Rising fam. Hope all is well with all. Wrapped up morning meditation a little bit ago. Did a little cleaning. Heading down. Started my morning stretches. Thought I would bring you all in. Pardon the darkness. I like to keep the lights off as long as I can. But just want to give you a little bit of an update from out here in the line of fire. Can't really switch this camera now, but let me see what I can show you. Think you guys can catch the smoke coming through the neighborhood. Most definitely. Think y'all could catch that smoke. Do my morning routine, getting some pull-ups in. It's always good to get that circulation going. So many of us are caught in that forward sagittal plane. People nose diving. It's good to get your back loose. But today is just more about encouragement. It's your brother K. Hot chocolate high fives to all you guys who made it through. Blessings on your 9/11. I know today is a day for remembering some tragedy for many. For me, I remember being in college. I was at university. My homie Josh and I met up in the diner on campus for our weekly morning Domino's game. And we were seeing on the TV. I remember I just got off work. I was captain of the basketball team, and I was also working a couple jobs. I was a deacon at the church, junior deacon, youth minister, all that stuff. So I was multitasking like a mug. But I just got done working overnight shift at the airport for UPS, driving the tugs and whatnot, coming home smelling like jet fuel. Got changed real quick. Went to link up with the homie, saw this stuff on the TV, and I thought it was like a new movie coming out. And then, once we were at the diner, Millie, who was the woman who owned the diner, she would come over to our table regularly, check in on us, check in with us. And, gotta have that core strength for that one. Whew. She'd check in with us regularly and, impressed upon us the reality of the situation. It was an interesting day, interesting time to be alive. Be a newlywed, have a baby on the way, and see stuff like that going down. As I've come into my awakening, I've noticed a strong need to remember certain things and a need to forget other things. So, I disrespect no one's altar and I disrespect no one's Holocaust for sure. But I think about what's going on in Sudan and Congo right now, and it makes me hark back to the time of Leopold, and I think of the millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of people. Estimations are over 10 million people were brutally murdered under the leadership of Leopold. Out of it, we got museums and stuff, artifacts and actual bodies and body parts of people who look like me, and folks that go to marvel at the wonders. Out of it, we got new maps. There was something called the Middle East that was invented after that. There's a lot of things that came into being, which means there's a lot of things that we all of a sudden have to forget. Sips his tea. As a grown man now, The little girl that was yet to come into the world at that time is this year graduated from UCLA, double major and all this. She's an amazing individual. And while she's leaving university, and I'm reminiscing on when I was at university watching this situation go down, I'm hearing news that people are telling people like me to forget things that happened on this land. The blood, the sweat, the travesties that went into building the world that we are living in. I mean, the physical structures, the political, psychological structures. I mean, down to the internet, people who look like me and look like my little girl. And their contribution is this push to say, nah, forget that. I mean, you guys learned a lot. It wasn't that we brought you here because you were skilled and you knew how to do things that we could not do. No. It was that once you got here, we taught you guys how to do all these things. It's an interesting notion. However, my encouragement is not to create a this and that and a us and a them. Others have done a very good job of doing that. My encouragement is this 9/11 and the end of this 2024 that you guys will start seeking not to just hear what is being told to you, but you actually seek out what is true and what is right. I want to hop up here and get some more pull-ups in, but I'll leave you on this note. Recently, we had the Chase Bank situation where people were seduced into committing check fraud because they saw somebody make a video. Is a very immediate, very real, you can go right now and verify it, example of the dangers of just following these fallacies, just listening. I don't care if it's a governor or a mayor or a congressperson or a former president or future president. We need to be in the habit of verifying information. Go check your sources. So, if you are curious as to whether a man named Leopold left France and went into Central Africa and instituted the murder of millions and millions of Africans in an area that is still being exploited by European forces, then go check me out. If you are curious as to whether skilled individuals, people who left their place and went to Spain and went into Europe during the Dark Ages and assisted in the survival of those people in Europe, that the clothing, the building structures, the political structures, that some of those European entities adopted came directly from individuals we might call the Moors, Northern Africans, whatever. Go check it out. If you are curious as to whether, in actuality, a man named Colombo came over here, and in his diary he says when he got here, there were people who looked like me when he got here. And verify if the Gullah people and some other individuals who are already here look like me and look like my daughter. Then go check it out. And if you're curious as to whether they raped, castrated, beat, murdered, and subjugated these individuals for a few hundred years, and then instituted apartheid after these people earned and fought for their own freedom. No one gave my ancestors their freedom. We earned our freedom. Go check it out. Jim Crow, Black Codes. And if you're curious whether they were lynching men who look like me all the way up until the end of the 60s. There's a lot of brothers that were just walking on the street in a 3-piece suit or a 2-piece suit like I typically wear each day. And somebody would just see them and grab them, beat them, while folks in the neighborhood, a lot like the neighborhood I'm living in, would get together and throw on their Sunday's best and come out to watch the spectacle. Their entertainment was killing, hanging, burning, and oftentimes cutting off body parts and distributing it amongst the neighborhood. There are people who have family heirlooms that are ears, noses, genitals, toes of people who look like me. When you see some anger, some resentment, and you hear about folks talking about how the hip-hop industry and the music industry and all these industries are manipulated, maybe it's time to not just brush it off. Maybe it's time to go verify. And if you find that this stuff is true, it's time for you guys who don't look like me to start speaking up. If we're gonna remember 9/11, if we're gonna remember the Holocaust in Eastern Europe, if we're gonna remember these quote-unquote travesties, then let's remember the genocide of the people who are actual Americans. Actual Americans. I say that because I got, I'll kick with everybody, but some of my homies, even in their speech, they don't call themselves European American. I have buddies who will show me their family crest from Ireland or something like that, but they don't call themselves Irish American. Similar conversation with buddies whose heritage go back to Germany or go back to the Norse or whatever, and none of them call themselves European Americans. They just call themselves Americans, but they'll call me an African American. Whereas they readily connect themselves to another land. I've done DNA analysis and I've done my digging, but my mom doesn't know her grandmama's name. We from the South, we from Louisiana, just so you know. My mama don't know her grandmama's name. I know my grandmama's name is Medea. I remember Medea, right? Not Tyler Perry. I'm talking about Medea for real. So y'all that know, you know. Evermore, nevertheless, these people know that they came here voluntarily seeking a better life. And we all know that some of us were brought here so that those people could have a better life. If we want to take it out of a ethnic context, we could put it in a religious context. The Christians were sold the slave trade by Islam. We need to start confronting the realities, and we need to heal the wounds. We need to heal. We need to have those conversations. As much as if I'm talking to a child, I'm talking to a woman, talking to someone that was abused physically or psychologically or verbally, them having some reconciliation, there being some apologies and some restitution made in those situations in order for healing to take place is important. I would definitely say that for us as a nation and as a world, it would be to our utmost benefit for us to bypass the fear and insecurities and the cognitive dissonance that will lead one to just say, oh, just forget about it. Why do you guys keep bringing that up? Why do we keep talking about this? Well, we're talking about it because there's been no intervention. There's been no healing. There's been no real conversation, not a real one. Some individuals have placated to it, and there's some people who recognize what's going on. But come on, y'all. Don't get like Chase. I mean, I think back, because I was there in '08, and I remember them getting bailed out. It was interesting they got bailed out, but now they're going after people who are looking, they need some money too, and they're looking to use that lie. It's fraud, but they're looking to use that lie as a bailout. What goes around comes around. Ma'at is real, and the scales need to be balanced. Either we do it with intention, and we find some grace and some ease and some healing, or we keep on with the BS, and the sins of the father are delivered to the son sevenfold. And just because some of these people rape their way into our bloodlines does not mean that their sins are going to fall on us. Selah. Selah. This is all love, and this is real encouragement. Let's seek the truth in ourselves and as a collective. I got nothing but love for you. Peace and bliss, my people.